crispy.
Alright, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Figures in Action. And today what I present to the diorama gods is, I shouldn't say I believe, I'm sure of. This is my first diorama in the 1/6 scale. So, for those who aren't familiar, there are different scales when it comes to collecting action figures. But most popular scales are 1/18, 1/12, 1/6 are the three most popular. And to break it down in inches, 1/6 scale is 12-inch figures, 1/12 scale is 6-inch figures, and 1/18 is about 3 1/4-inch figures. So was contacted by a gentleman who wanted, right up my alleyway, wanted a diorama, but he was looking to get a 1/6 scale diorama. I had actually created interestingly enough, I created a toilet, a 1/6 scale toilet, commissioned one for a Deadpool figure, actually. So anyway, I was contacted by a gentleman who wanted a 1/6 scale diorama, kind of an alleyway type deal. So I took it on. I took it on. And man, this thing is huge. It's really difficult, looking at it like this, it just looks like any old diorama, right? But we're gonna put the normal scale I work with. So that's a 1/12 scale Marvel Legends Deadpool. This is I usually create dioramas for figures this size, 6-inch. So pretty much doubled up. So everything kind of got doubled up. So yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I guess I was more intimidated by the size when I started. I was like, man, this is going to be a huge piece. I remember I gave him the dimensions at first, and he wanted the floor to extend a little more. And I was like, man, this is going to be a beast of a piece. But was able to rock it out. I mean, it's not, in terms of building, you're just building a little bit bigger. I've built dioramas this big, but for 1/12 scale, never like a one-piecer for a 1/6 scale 12-inch figure. Interestingly enough, this Deadpool I found at Savers, which is a thrift store, for like $3, $2.99, and I found it a few months back, or maybe longer. Bought it because I was like, you know what? One day somebody's gonna ask me to do a diorama in this scale, and bam, it happened. So let's go over some of the details. Nothing different in terms of the materials I use from my normal 1/12 scale type dials. The cool thing about the bigger ones is that you can really kind of get into the details in terms of not having to get super tiny. You can get a little bit bigger, so it allows you a little more space to work with. So insulation foam board, as I normally use for the walls, the floor, the back. The corrugated cardboard for both those doors. What I did with this one is I kind of pushed it in so that it opens up kind of towards the inside, which is why there's no piece above, while this one's pushed out, and this kind of gray thing rolls into here. So wanted to do just kind of the two different ones. He had actually, after I started, normally the way it works is that I kind of give people a proposal of what it is that I'm gonna, what I can do with your budget, and then I get started. At some point, he wanted to see if I could switch up the door. It was a little too late, but I feel like I like this. I think it's normally I don't think I've ever done a double metal door, but it looks good. And I also love the fact that it's two kind of different styles, where one is on the inside and one's rolling out on the outside. So I told him, I had already started. What's really cool is I actually also made it so that this piece in the bottom can pop out, so it looks like you can put some light from behind. You can put an action figure crawling in or out, whatever you want to do. So that piece you know, comes out easily enough, and you can put it back in and you can't even tell that it comes out. So it's almost like a door that was rolled up a little bit, but not all the way yet. So back to the materials. Do-it-yourself straws. This is just foam board cut down skinny. Again, do-it-yourself straws. Vellum paper. This is basswood. The window actually came out really good. I hadn't tried. So what I did is created the window, right, and then so these three pieces up top, these three pieces at the bottom, excuse me, are all one piece, one individual piece. This is just one long piece. So what I did is I created it so that it would fit into here, into like notches. So I laid down the vellum paper and actually glued the pieces straight onto the vellum paper and then pushed it in from the back and created it so that it fell into place. Reinforced it in the back so it stays strong. But yeah, so it's just vellum paper, and this is basswood, I believe. These signs are just excuse me, from the internet. You just, you know, size them out, and then how to make them a little bigger, obviously. Did the whole thing where I put the aluminum paper on the back, so you do get a little bit of movement. If you want it to bend the corners a little bit, you can, and you can actually put it back as well if that's what you chose to do. He wanted a fence, so he had already sent me a picture of a prior dial that somebody else created, and so just so he can show me the elements. So he didn't want a fence, so those are those dowel rods, and that sewer mesh had to double up on it, because usually these are just 6 inches tall, so I just kind of double up on it. Got it rusty and dirty and so forth, and then I just created some notches so it can lean on it and not fall to the side. So I created notches on both sides. Actually, I don't know if you can see it too well there. Right at the bottom there. Let me see what else. Then for the floor, wanted to really get busy on the floor. So I was able to do a couple different, you know, stains that cars might have left, and just little patches of debris. Oh, let me just get it in focus. Little patches of debris and some pieces of wood, all permanent. Went with the vent, and then the vent has the sewing mesh on it, and actually scored the vent. And my homie SK File from my last video had mentioned scoring up, you know, some work there, and he was so correct on it. So when I started creating this one, these pieces were so small that I felt like if I glued them on the outside, they were more susceptible to be damaged. So I said, let me score these pieces. So this is all a flat piece. You know, for the most part, I try to not make it so that it's too bulky. And then I also like to reinforce pieces. So whenever I glue stuff like this or like this, it's usually tacky glue as well as hot glue. Same deal with those little pieces. It's usually, you know, tacky, hot. And then I also put some pins in there to give it some extra strength. We have a finger light at the top, and that is you can just turn it on here to the side, so you get some light there. And then with this one, this is the only part he has to actually install. So when you take this part of the wall off, this breaks right there. But I shaved the piece of kind of the tip of this, so it goes in pretty easy. You just have to adjust it as you're putting it together. Let me see what else. Had to modge podge this floor. I usually just use acrylic, an acrylic sealer spray, but I had a feeling that with the weight of the 12-inch figures, that may be an issue, as if you put a figure on a dial long enough and you take it off, the paint will somehow stick to the feet of the action figures. This has been a problem. So what I did is I did acrylic seal spray several times. Then I laid some more debris, and this is just pieces of paper that I basically dipped in water and tacky glue and just kind of stuck. So what it allowed me to do is kind of put these different layers and then come back and modge podge it at the very end. Then yesterday when I went to work, or for almost a 24-hour period, I left him on the dial just to make sure that when I got back home and I pulled him away, he wouldn't pull away with a piece of the diorama on his feet. So that was important. Wanted to make sure that the floor, more than anything, is protected. I sprayed the whole thing down, but the floor is something that was sealed various times, so it should be good to go in terms of displaying and or action figure photography. Oh man, I don't have my, let me see. I do have a ruler here. Let me see if I can measure with this ruler. So this is telling me that it is 18, I believe 22 inches across. Looks like what it is. Ooh, it's gonna be probably 20 inches deep. It's about 18 inches tall. So yeah, big boy, big dial. So now the challenge is shipping it. Luckily, I found some flat boxes, but I'm gonna have to double up and kind of Frankenstein this box so I can in turn fit it correctly. But they should be okay in that box. And yeah, man, we'll be ready to go. So check out the pictures at the end. Questions, comments, leave them. And I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I haven't been that great lately with getting back to people on YouTube. I will be changing that. I will set some time aside at some point to kind of get back to everyone. A lot of it is just people saying, hey, this looks great or whatever. But regardless, I always like to acknowledge that I read the comments and so forth. All right, guys, and I'm out of here. Peace.